In the days following the 1997 murder of rapper Biggie Smalls in Los Angeles, rumors spread that he had owed the Southside Compton Crips gang $1 million, with some claiming it was for Tupac's murder and others claiming it was for security work, leading some to wonder if he'd been killed over this debt. While it turned out Biggie had no hand in Tupac's murder, the rumors at the time could have been enough to have gotten Big killed. And this actually became an active theory investigated by LAPD detectives working Biggie's homicide, although eventually it became clear that the Crips had nothing to do with Biggie's murder. However, Biggie and the Southside Crips were allegedly associated, and in the course of interviewing witnesses and informants, another rumor surfaced that Biggie may have visited Compton on the day of his murder. And in recent years, the arrest of a former Southside Crip shot caller named Keefe D for Tupac's murder has made this question much more controversial, because some have claimed that Biggie and Keefe were friends. So did Biggie kick it with the people who allegedly murdered his rival on the very day Biggie himself was killed? Technically, Biggie was killed on March 9th, 1997, but that's because it was past midnight when the shooting happened and the date had changed. On his last day alive, which was March 8th, he supposedly attended a celebrity basketball tournament at Cal State Dominguez Hills, put on by the local hip-hop radio station, The Beat. And I think it's important to establish his attendance at the basketball game in order to determine whether he then stopped off in Compton that same day. The charity game was attended by celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Warren G, Daz Dillinger, Mace, and others. And a flyer for the event claimed that Jamie Foxx and Brian McKnight would also be there. Strangely, it seems like members of Biggie's entourage were hesitant to mention anything about Biggie going to this basketball tournament on his last day alive. I think part of this is because they weren't all together with Big all the time he was in LA. He would sometimes take off with only one or two people from his core group of friends, and the others wouldn't necessarily know where he was. But it seems like most of the time they were all together. But also, those days in LA would blur together for them in their memories. On this last day, Biggie's friend, Damian Butler, claims that he and Big's driver, Gregory G. Money Young, ran an errand through a Western Union across town that morning to retrieve some cash for Biggie, and that they brought Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles back to their Westwood hotel for Biggie and the rest of the crew.
The next morning, Saturday morning,
I had to go to Western Union and count my son some money. I think we was getting $1,200 from Western Union.
Who was supposed to send it to you?
Big's accountant.
Okay, so Greg was with you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to Western Union and then you went to Roscoe's?
Yep, and then we went back to the hotel.
Okay.
And for some reason, Biggie's entourage denies ever attending the basketball tournament that afternoon at Cal State Dominguez Hills. Biggie's closest friends who were with him that day claimed that he didn't leave the hotel at all before leaving for a house in the Hollywood Hills and a vibe party that night. In an interview with Biggie detective Russell Poole 3 months after the murder, Biggie's driver G-Money said straight up that there was no basketball game at Dominguez Hills.
From the time you returned with the chicken until you left the party hill, or up in the hills?
Right.
Good. Did you ever leave the room?
No.
Did you ever go to a basketball game?
We went to the game earlier in the week, Clippers game. It was like a Wednesday. They played 76ers.
But the Clippers had played the 76ers at home the previous week, not the week of Biggie's murder. When asked about attending a celebrity basketball tournament, Damian Butler also brings up the Clippers game, and then claims they'd gone to a different celebrity basketball game a couple days before the one at Cal State Dominguez Hills.
While you were here during that last week prior to the vibe party, did you guys go to any basketball games?
Then we went to the Clippers.
The Clippers? Did you ever go to any other basketball games?
Went to a celebrity basketball game.
That was the weekend of the party?
Train day, it wasn't that vibe thing, I know that.
It was before that?
Yeah.
Okay, a couple days, a week, 2 weeks?
Maybe a couple days.
And when asked about the celebrity basketball game, Lil Cease also cited the same Clippers game days earlier that Butler and G-Money mentioned, and the earlier celebrity game that G-Money had played in.
While you guys were on the last trip, do you recall going to a basketball game? We went to an NBA basketball game, the Clippers game. Do you remember going to a basketball game that Gregory played in?
Yeah, that was a celebrity game, it looks like. It was living the city with Marauder.
And some witnesses who attended the celebrity basketball tournament at Cal State Dominguez Hills on Biggie's last day claim they never saw Biggie there, and he isn't in any photos from the event either. So, was he there? This confusion may have been cleared up by the local radio DJ who organized the tournament. He stated that Christopher Wallace was at the celebrity basketball game, but he did not get into the court. When the court reached its capacity crowd, the fire marshals closed the doors and did not let anyone else in. Many celebrities were locked out and not let in. He did not actually see Biggie at Cal State Dominguez Hills, but people in his staff did. Basically, Biggie arrived late and got stuck outside in the parking lot. And while Big's own friends didn't seem to recall this event, others around Bad Boy's group that weekend did remember hearing about it. And there were other witnesses who claimed they saw him there. A witness who'd been following the Bad Boy entourage that weekend in a white Land Cruiser claimed that Biggie told him later that night that he went to Compton or Dominguez Hills for a celebrity basketball game the day of the shooting. Puffy's driver in LA, who was the head of the LA-based security company that they had hired, also claimed to have heard from others in their group that Biggie had gone to the celebrity basketball game that same day. Another witness with ties to Death Row Records told a Compton police detective that he was at California State attending the basketball game when he saw Biggie. And 2 months after Biggie's murder, his mother told Biggie Detective Cooper that his friend Damian Butler told her that he and Biggie had attended a celebrity basketball game. And the following day, Butler told this to Detective Cooper himself and confirmed this game was on Biggie's last day. Cooper's notes read, he said the day of the homicide that Butler, Biggie, James Lloyd aka Lil Cease, and G-Money Young went to the celebrity basketball game, and witness Young even played in the game. They stayed there approximately 30 minutes and returned to their rooms. They had no security. So why all this possible secrecy or confusion around Biggie attending a basketball tournament? Why would his friends who supposedly went with him that day deny it ever happened? How is this any different than him going to any of the other harmless places they went in those final weeks in LA? Or in the chaos that ensued, did they just forget it happened? We have to remember they watched their best friend get killed right in front of them.
We're man shot in our car right now.
So if Biggie went to this tournament, I don't know if it was intentionally kept from detectives, but I think there may be one reason why it might have at least been uncomfortable to talk about it. The basketball tournament at Cal State Dominguez Hills was just 3.5 miles from the Southside Crips neighborhood in Compton. And the Crips were reportedly at the game as well. In my documentary Murder Rap, we established that Biggie's own friends had confirmed that there was an association between Big and the Southside Crips.
Okay, you saw that guy at number 2 there, huh?
Yep.
So you saw that guy when you was on the Joseph tour? Same guy?
Same guy. Same dude, right there. Yep. I saw him that night. I know that face. I saw him twice.
That face is Keefe D.
So we're sitting around, they'll leave the party. You know, the guy in Compton is still in there. They come over.
What they say? Did they come over and speak to you guys?
Yeah.
Speak to Puffy and
I
Big?
speak to him just like, yo, what's up, what's happening?
Little Cease confirmed that he had seen Keefe D and several of the other Southside Crips at the Peterson. He sees them walking up towards Biggie when the security intervenes, but Biggie waves them off saying, hey, I know these guys, they're cool, specifically Keefe D, let him through.
Where did these guys from Compton approach you and ask you for, did you want them to provide security?
Did I want security at that place?
At the party?
Yeah.
At the museum?
Yeah.
The Southside Crip informant claimed that Biggie and his entourage were at a basketball game at Cal State Dominguez on Saturday, March 8th, in the daytime. Southside Compton Crips Speedy, Keefe D, Bubble Up, Win, and Corey Edwards were also at the game. And a Death Row Records informant claimed that they saw Biggie in a vehicle in the parking lot outside the charity tournament, and also saw an alleged associate of the Southside Crips and close friend of Keefe D's named Corey Edwards, next to Biggie's vehicle. Corey Edwards had also been in Vegas around the Southsiders the night Tupac was killed 6 months earlier. And Keefe himself claimed that he attended this game after running into Puffy the night before, where Puff told him about the tournament. But if Keefe and Terrence Brown, aka Bubble Up, were at the celebrity basketball tournament, that means Biggie might have been at least in close proximity to half of the 4 alleged occupants of the shooter's white Cadillac from Tupac's murder in Las Vegas just 6 months earlier. Which is shocking, if true, that Tupac's rival, Biggie Smalls, may have been in the presence of Tupac's alleged killers or their associates just hours before Biggie himself was killed. And Biggie's mother, Valletta Wallace, claimed that when Butler told her that they went to the basketball tournament, he also said that earlier that day, someone named Zip, who we can probably assume was Zip Martin, the well-known figure from Harlem, who allegedly gave Keefe the gun used to kill Tupac, had picked up Biggie and taken him to Compton. So in that version of events, Biggie made a separate trip from his hotel in Westwood down to Compton with just him and Zip. And Zip Martin was also at the Peterson Museum that night when Biggie was shot. However, Butler denies telling Biggie's mother that Zip had taken Big down to Compton.
Listen, I'm a little confused about something, man. When I talked to Miss Wallace said that some guy had taken Biggie down to Compton earlier that day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she said you told her that.
Ah. I don't know. What was something he been up to going down there? And I told her that to ask me. You know what I'm saying? He was saying something like that.
C said that.
But then, like I said, he was just saying that they had went somewhere, but I never questioned it. But when I left, they was there. When I came back, they was there. The only place they was talking about Fatburger.
So even though I don't think it's definitively proven, I suspect Biggie went to the basketball tournament at Cal State Dominguez Hills hours before he was killed. But did he meet up with Southside Crips? And did he really go to Compton that day? Well, he had allegedly gone to Compton before. Another Death Row insider and Mob Piru member, Hen Dog Smith, also told detectives that Biggie used to hang out with Keefe in the Southside Crips neighborhood. And a Compton Crip informant interviewed by Biggie murder detectives Katz and Poole claimed to have seen Biggie in Compton twice before, most recently in December of 1996, which is just 3 months after Tupac's murder, and that on that second visit, Biggie was in South Park, which was the Southsiders' park in their neighborhood. And this informant claims that he washed the black Chevy Blazer that Biggie was in. This witness claimed that Darnell Brim, another alleged shot caller with the Southside Crips, had brought Biggie down there, and that Brim had been the one to pay for the vehicle to be washed. However, Darnell Brim would deny ever even seeing Biggie in Compton, and Corey Edwards would also deny it, saying that Biggie's never been to Compton as far as I know. If he had been to my neighborhood, I think I would know about it. But a Southside Crip informant disputed this in a taped interview. In my documentary Murder Rap, this informant claimed that fellow Crips Orlando Anderson and DeAndre Smith had bragged about killing Tupac.
Dre and Orlando, they came back bragging about what happened out there. He seen Tupac and Big Suge, I think, in a BMW, and he said he let off on him.
This same informant also claimed that he'd seen Biggie with Keefe D in Compton before.
Biggie Smalls, you say you've seen him down in...
Yeah, I've seen him in Compton before.
Seen him down on the south side. Who's his running buds down there on the south side?
Right here.
Keefe D?
Yep.
Who else would he be with down there besides Keith Davis?
That's about the main one he gonna be with. When he come out there, believe me, Keith gonna be with him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And an LA sheriff's detective working the gang unit in Watts also heard rumors among gang members that Biggie was not only in Compton that last day, but specifically in South Park, the Southside Crips Park. And Compton gang detective Tim Brennan also had an informant who claimed Wallace was down in South Park, possibly on Saturday, the day of the murder, with the Southside Crips and Corey Edwards. Also, the Bloods were hanging around, mad-dogging the Crips at the location. Another informant who claimed to be affiliated with Keefe stated that Biggie was in Compton on the day he was killed, specifically in Southside's neighborhood, and that he'd been there before. Their voices obscured here to protect their identity.
Let me ask you a question. One of the rumors we heard that Biggie was in Compton the day he got killed. How you know? Did you see him?
No, I wasn't there, but he was there.
Well, you seen him before then?
Yeah.
In Compton?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. They were better. They were like, you know, they were better feels like.
With him and Keefe was?
Yeah. Every single time they come in town. Every time.
There were also wild claims that during this possible trip to Compton on his last day alive, Biggie had gotten into a heated argument over money. One informant claimed that during this argument, Biggie said, "Fuck that shit, I will pay the $30,000. And an LA Sheriff's Department informant reportedly claimed that Wallace was in Compton South Park with Southside Crip gang members on the day of his murder, and that Wallace was paying some gang members for security services rendered. A dispute ensued with one of the gang members over $5,000. Wallace refused to pay. However, at least one person who supposedly witnessed this dispute over money said it never happened. And I have to wonder if embellishments were being made by witnesses and informants based on the rumors at the time that Biggie had owed the Southside Crips money when he died. And while we're on the subject of wild rumors, I've also heard two separate accounts of photos allegedly existing of Biggie and possibly other New Yorkers posing with alleged associates of the Southside Crips. And one of these photos was supposedly in South Park in Compton. I have never been able to verify this, and it sounds a little bit far-fetched, but if you have access to any photos of Southside and Bad Boy associates together, I would love to hear from you. So, did Biggie go to Compton on his last day alive? I don't think we'll ever know for sure because there are so many conflicting accounts. But all of these claims from witnesses and informants raise a larger issue surrounding his murder. The streets of Compton believed Biggie was closely associated with the Southside Crips. And the streets believed the Crips had killed Tupac, Biggie's rival. And these rumors were flying around Compton in his final days alive that Biggie was hanging with the Crips after Tupac's murder. And this was getting back to associates of death row with a direct line to Suge Knight. Some people have theorized that Puffy may have been the real target the night Biggie was killed. But most of the claims weren't about Puffy and the Crips. They were about Big. And while Biggie had nothing to do with Tupac's murder, I think these rumors may have directly contributed to Biggie's own murder in retaliation.